Officer, I think there's a mistake. I just bought a dress.
You're just like all the rest, girl. Officer Hayes' voice was pure venom as he slammed 16-year-old Naya's face into the hot pavement of the mall parking lot. You people are all the same, liars and thieves. Her cheekbones scraped against the rough asphalt, drawing blood. Hayes' partner, Officer Miller, had his knee crushing her back, pinning her to the ground. I paid, Naya gasped, a single tear cutting a path through the grime on her face. A receipt for the prom dress she'd just bought lay crumpled near her hand. Shut up, Miller sneered, twisting her small arm behind her back. Lions in your blood. You're probably pregnant, too. The crowd just watched. Their phones were out, recording, but no one moved. Naya's phone, which had skittered across the pavement, lit up. The screen read, "Dad calling." Then everything stopped. Tires screamed. Not a police cruiser. 4 black, unmarked SUVs. Doors flew open, not with 2 cops, but with 10 figures in tactical FBI vests moving fast, heavy, and with a purpose that made the air go cold. Officer Hayes looked up from the 16-year-old girl, his cruel smirk instantly vanishing. Officer Miller's face went completely white. They froze. Have you ever wondered what could make 2 arrogant cops, who were just brutalizing a teenage girl, look like they've just seen a ghost?
Welcome to Black Lives Story, the channel that tells the stories that need to be told. If that hook already has you on the edge of your seat, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you never miss a moment of justice. Now, let's get back to the story.
The first thing you see is the asphalt. It's a grainy, shaky, vertical video, filmed from a smartphone. The asphalt is black and sticky in the 2:30 p.m. summer heat. It's littered with the debris of a confrontation, a crumpled receipt, a scattered purse, and a few drops of fresh, bright red blood. The second thing you hear is the sound of a man's voice, not just angry, but full of a deep, curdled venom that's been poisoning him for years. "You're just like all the rest, girl." The camera pans up, shaky and out of focus, then snaps clear. And there she is. Nia Thompson, 16 years old. She is face down on the pavement. Her thin arms, the arms of a high school track runner, are pinned behind her back. Her cheek is pressed so hard against the rough parking lot ground that it's scraped raw, the blood mixing with her tears. A large white cop, Officer Hayes, has his entire 240 pounds of body weight pressed onto her back. His knee is not just on her, it is crushing her, grinding her thin 16-year-old frame into the ground. He is the image of absolute, unchecked power. "You people are all the same, liars and thieves," he screams, his face purple with rage. "You think you're so smart, don't you? Huh? Look at me when I'm talking to you." He yanks her head up by her braided hair. The crowd, the circle of smartphone witnesses who are filming this very moment, lets out a collective horrified gasp. He slams her face back down onto the pavement. A small hopeless sound, a whimper, is crushed out of her. His partner, Officer Miller, is the calm one. He's the one who says nothing. He's the one who just does his job, which today is ratcheting the cold steel handcuffs onto Nia's small, delicate wrists. His silence is his complicity. I paid." Nia gasps, her voice choked, crushed by the weight on her lungs. "Please. I paid for it. The receipt, it's in the bag. Please just look." She's trying to do what her parents had drilled into her, over and over. The talk. If they stop you, don't resist. Be polite. Explain. Show your hands. Survive. She was trying to survive. Officer Hayes just laughs. A short, ugly, barking sound. He sees the shopping bag, the one from the dress shop, lying just inches from her face. He sees the white slip of the receipt, crumpled next to it. He doesn't need to look at it. He already knows her truth. "Sure it is, sweetheart," he sneers, his voice dripping with racist sarcasm. Lying's in your blood, isn't it? You were probably pregnant before you could even drive. The casual, misogynistic cruelty of it. The racism. All of it, a public execution of a child's dignity. And the crowd just watches. 30, maybe 40 people, in a perfect semicircle of passive witnesses. Their phones are up. A forest of black rectangles, recording every second of her trauma. They are recording, but they are not intervening. A man in a business suit yells, "Hey, that's enough, man. She's just a kid." But he doesn't step forward. He doesn't move. A woman in a Believe Women t-shirt films, her hand over her own mouth, whispering, "Oh my God, oh my God." But she doesn't move. They are all terrified. Not of Hayes, but of his badge. They know that if they step in, his knee will be on their back next. Nia's purse, the one Hayes had ripped from her shoulder, is overturned. Its contents are scattered on the hot asphalt. A lip gloss. A set of keys. A student ID card, face up, that reads, Nia Thompson. Valedictorian. Lakeside High. And her phone. The screen is cracked. It's lying face up, just 5 feet away, just beyond her reach. As Hayes and Miller finally brutally haul her to her feet, the phone screen lights up. It glows in the harsh, unforgiving sunlight. A photo of a smiling, proud, handsome black man. And a single, agonizing line of text. The screen reads, "Dad calling." It rings. A cheerful, upbeat ringtone that sounds like a scream in the middle of this horror. It rings. And it rings. Nia can see it. She's cuffed, her arms pulled painfully behind her. Her cheek is bleeding. Her prom dress receipt is blowing away in the wind. She can see her father's face, smiling, just 5 feet away. And she can't answer. She can't tell him she's safe. She can't tell him to help. Officer Hayes hears the ringing. He glances at the phone, scoffs, and shoves Nia toward the open door of the patrol car. "Nobody's coming to save you, girl," he grunts, his hand on her head, ready to slam her inside. "You're mine." 45 minutes earlier. The clock on the wall reads 1:45 p.m. The world is not a dark, gritty parking lot. It's the bright, clean, energetic inside of the Brookside Mall. And Nia Thompson is not a victim. She is just a girl. She is 16 years old, and at this exact moment, she is arguing with herself in a 3-way mirror, holding up 2 prom dresses. The blue is classic, she whispers to her reflection, but the burgundy, it's me. This is the biggest crisis in her life. This is her only crisis. Nia Thompson was not just a good kid. She was a great kid. The kind of kid parents and teachers talk about with a sense of wonder. The kind of kid who was going to change things. At 16, she was the valedictorian of Lakeside High. She was the captain of the state champion debate team. She volunteered on weekends at the Children's Hospital, reading to kids in the oncology ward. And, as of 3 days ago, she was the proud recipient of an early admission, full-ride scholarship to Stanford University. Her life was a string of perfect, hard-earned achievements. She had done everything right. Her phone buzzed. A text from Dad. "Show me the options, superstar." Dad. Nia giggled. She snapped a picture of herself in the burgundy dress and sent it. "This one." The reply was almost instantaneous. "You look like a queen. Sold. I'm on my way. Be there in 45. Love you." Nia's heart swelled. She typed back, her fingers flying. "Love you too, Dad. See you soon." She hit send. She had no idea it would be the last normal text message she would send as a free person. She had no idea that in 45 minutes, her father would call that same phone, and she would be face down on the asphalt, unable to answer. She walked to the counter, her mind already drifting to prom, to finals, to California. The clerk, a young white woman named Becky, smiled. "The burgundy, right? It's gorgeous on you." "Yeah, my dad approved," Nia said, her smile bright. She tapped her debit card. The machine beeped, a cheerful, normal sound. "Approved." "You're all set," Becky said, carefully folding the dress and placing it into a glossy, expensive-looking shopping bag with the store's logo, "The Dressing Room," emblazoned on the side. "Here's your receipt, right in the bag." "Thank you so much," Nia said. "You're going to look beautiful at prom," Becky called out as she left. It was a perfect, normal, happy, American mall on a Sunday moment. And it was the last normal moment of her life. 3 stores down. The other end of the mall. The Digital World Electronics Store. The alarm wasn't a bell, it was a high-pitched, piercing shriek. A different girl, a white girl maybe 20, in a bright red hoodie and jeans, shoved a security guard, a man named Henderson, and sprinted for the north exit. Drones, still in their boxes, spilled from her open backpack. She was gone in a flash. Henderson, his heart pounding, fumbled for his radio. He was 50 feet away. He hadn't gotten a clear look. The dispatcher's voice crackled, "Unit 12, what's the 10 to 80? Suspect description." Henderson hesitated. He'd seen a flash. A dark hoodie? A backpack? He wasn't sure. The pressure was on. He had to say something. "It's a black female," he panted. "Dark hoodie. Fled the scene." A guess. A fatal, racist, lazy guess. A guess that, in that single second, sealed Nia Thompson's fate. That call went out. Black female. Dark hoodie. Possible 10 to 80 at the Brookside Mall. In patrol car 305, 1 block away, Officer Hayes and Officer Miller were finishing their lunch. Hayes's eyes lit up. He loved these calls. A chase. An arrest. A chance to put his kind of order on the world. "Let's go," he said, hitting the gas. "Let's go get her." At that exact terrible moment, 1:50 p.m., Nia Thompson, holding her glossy shopping bag from the dressing room, walked out of the south exit. The sun hit her face. She was wearing her favorite dark gray Stanford hoodie. She had her school backpack on. She was a black female. She wore a dark hoodie. She had a backpack. She was the wrong girl, in the wrong place, at the wrong time. She was just texting her dad, walking out now. She never saw the patrol car. It cut her off, jumping the curb, its lights flashing on, bathing her in red and blue. Officer Hayes burst out of the driver's side, his hand already on his holstered weapon. He didn't see a Stanford valedictorian. He didn't see a 16-year-old girl holding a prom dress. He didn't see the shopping bag from the dressing room, a store that doesn't sell electronics. He saw exactly what his prejudice was looking for. "Hey, you. Stop right there. On the ground. Now." Nia froze, her blood turning to ice. Her head snapped up, her face a mask of pure innocent confusion. "Me?" she asked, looking behind her. "Officer, what?" Hayes was on her in a second. His partner, Miller, was right behind him, cutting off her exit. "Don't you play dumb with me." Hayes screamed, his voice already at a 10. "Where'd you ditch the stuff? The drones. Where are they?" "Drones." Nia's voice was a terrified squeak. What stuff?" I just bought a dress. For prom. I have the receipt." And this is where the two realities collided. This is where Nia's bright, hopeful Stanford-bound world slammed face-first into Officer Hayes's dark, violent, and racist one. This is where the shaky vertical video footage that started this nightmare begins now. "Me." That single, confused word was all Nia Thompson had time to say. Officer Hayes did not respond. He didn't ask her name. He didn't ask her what was in the bag. He was a 240-pound predator who had just been given a license to hunt by a vague radio call, black female, dark hoodie. And in his world, that meant guilty. "Officer, I think there's a mistake," Nia said, her voice trembling, but polite. This was the moment. The moment her father, Marcus, had warned her about her entire life. "If they stop you, Nia, your voice is your first, best weapon. Stay calm. Be respectful. No matter what." She was being respectful. She held up the glossy shopping bag from the dressing room. "I just bought this dress," she explained, her voice shaky. "For prom. The receipt is right in the..." She made the mistake. It was a small, innocent, logical movement. She reached toward the bag, to retrieve the receipt. To prove her innocence. To Officer Hayes, this was not compliance. This was a challenge. This was a black female in a dark hoodie reaching for something. "She's resisting," he roared, his voice cracking with adrenaline. On the ground. I said on the ground. He didn't wait for her to comply. He lunged. Hayes was a man of action, not thought. He closed the 10 feet between them in 2 steps. He didn't grab her arm. He tackled her. His shoulder, a battering ram of Kevlar and fury, hit her square in the chest. Nia, a 16-year-old girl, flew backward off her feet. She didn't just fall, she was driven. The back of her head hit the trunk of a parked car with a sickening hollow thud. She collapsed, a heap of limbs on the hot, unforgiving asphalt. The prom dress, in its glossy bag, skittered away from her. She was stunned. The air was gone from her lungs. Her vision swam. Dad, he's on his way. Before she could even cry, Hayes was on her. He grabbed her arm, flipped her onto her stomach, and slammed his knee directly onto her spine. You don't move, he screamed, his face purple. You don't ever move on a cop. And this is where we are. This is the moment from the video. The shaky, vertical hell that would soon have 10 million views. Nia's cheek was scraped raw, the tiny sharp stones of the parking lot imprinting on her skin. She could taste blood and asphalt. I paid, she gasped, her voice crushed by his weight. Please, the receipt, it's in the bag. Hayes just laughed, a short, ugly barking sound. He yanked her arm up, and Nia cried out, a sharp searing pain shooting through her shoulder. Sure it is, sweetheart, he sneered, his voice full of racist venom. Lying's in your blood, isn't it? You people are all the same, liars and thieves. You think you're so smart, don't you? His partner Miller, the silent one, was now cuffing her. His silence was his approval. But then, a new voice. A different voice. Stop. Oh my God. Stop. She paid. It was Becky, the store clerk. She was sprinting across the parking lot, her green dressing room smock flapping. She was holding up her store's iPad. Stop it. She's a kid. I just sold her that dress. I have the proof. This was the moment of hope. The crowd, their phones all recording, turned to the clerk. This was the good witness. The white witness. The system would listen to her. She ran right up to Officer Miller, her hand shaking as she thrust the iPad at him. Look, she cried, her voice desperate. Look. Nia Thompson. Debit card. Approved. 1:47 p.m. That's her. I just talked to her. She was buying a prom dress. She was talking about her dad. Officer Miller froze. He looked at the iPad. He saw the name. He saw the timestamp. He looked at Hayes, who was still kneeling on Nia's back. He knew in this instant that they had the wrong girl. He knew. And he made his choice. Officer Hayes stood up, not off Nia, but off her, only to turn on Becky. He got in her face. Ma'am, he roared, his 6'4" frame towering over her. This is a police investigation. You are obstructing. Step back, or you will be arrested. Do you understand me? Becky stumbled back, terrified, tears streaming down her face. But she's innocent. You're a monster. Step back. Now. Hayes had done it. He had looked the truth, the literal digital proof, in the face, and he had chosen to crush it. He turned back to Nia, his rage doubled. He had been challenged, and now she would pay for it. He ripped her backpack off her, turned it upside down, and dumped its contents onto the pavement. A physics textbook. A worn copy of Their Eyes Were Watching God. A water bottle. And a single crisp, white envelope. Hayes snatched it. He ripped it open. It was her Stanford acceptance letter. He read it. He looked at the girl, the black girl bleeding on the pavement, who he had already decided was a thug, and he scoffed. Yeah, right, he said, loud enough for the crowd to hear. Stanford. You probably stole this, too. And then, with a look of pure nihilistic spite, he crumpled the letter in his fist. He crushed her scholarship, her valedictorian speech, her 4.0 GPA, her entire future, into a meaningless ball of paper. He threw it on the ground. That was the moment the crowd's murmur turned to audible, angry shouts. You've gone too far, a man yelled. She's a kid. "You're a racist pig," another woman screamed. Hayes didn't care. He hauled Nia to her feet. "You're under arrest for felony theft and resisting an officer." "I'm not resisting," Nia cried, as he and Miller shoved her toward the patrol car. "I'm innocent. Please just look at the receipt. I'm 16. I'm a kid. You can't do this." "We can," Miller said, his voice as cold as his silence. "And we are." They threw her into the back of the cruiser. She wasn't a child. She wasn't a valedictorian. She was a problem, solved. The system had been presented with every possible piece of evidence: the victim's polite testimony, the physical receipt, the digital proof from the store, the eyewitness clerk, and the sterling character evidence. The system had looked at all of it, and had chosen to protect its own. As the car door slammed, sealing Nia in the hot plastic-smelling back seat, her phone, still on the pavement, buzzed again. And again. The screen lit up, over and over. "Dad calling. Dad calling. Dad calling." The Brookside Police Precinct was a small brick building that smelled of burnt coffee, stale disinfectant, and the quiet pervasive misery of 1,000 bad days. This was now Nia Thompson's world. She was in a holding cell. Not an interview room. A cold, cinderblock cell with a single steel bench bolted to the wall. The charges: felony theft, resisting arrest, and assault on a police officer. She was 16 years old. She was the valedictorian. She was a child. And she was sitting in a cage, her prom dress in a biohazard bag on the floor outside her cell. She had asked to call her father 3 times. The first time, the desk sergeant had laughed. The second time, she was told to be quiet. The third time, she was ignored. She was no longer crying. The adrenaline had worn off, leaving behind a cold, hollow, terrifying numbness. She was just tired. She pulled her knees to her chest, her scraped cheek pressed against the rough, cold cinderblock. She was a good kid. She had done everything right. And it hadn't mattered. Her father was out there in the world, thinking she was just at the mall. He didn't know. No one was coming for her. In the break room, 30 feet away, it was a different world. Officer Hayes had his feet up on the table, a half-eaten donut in his hand. Officer Miller was at the computer, typing up their report. They were heroes. "And make sure you put in that she was combative from the start," Hayes said, his mouth full. "That's key." Subject was verbally aggressive, refused all lawful commands. "Got it, boss," Miller said, his fingers clacking. "And, what about the arm twist?" "She resisted," Hayes said, taking a loud gulp of coffee. "I had to use necessary force to subdue the subject. My arm, it's sore. I felt threatened. She's a strong girl." They both laughed. "And the receipt?" Miller asked, almost as an afterthought. "What receipt?" Hayes smirked. "I didn't see a receipt. All I saw was a 16-year-old animal resisting arrest. You're the one who found the felony weight stolen goods, later." Miller nodded, understanding. "Right. Good kid, my ass. Stanford. She'll be lucky if she gets into community college after this. These people, you gotta teach 'em. You gotta show 'em who's in charge." They were safe. They were protected. They were the system. A whump sound echoed through the precinct. The desk sergeant, a woman named Carol, looked up, annoyed. "Hey, this isn't a..." She froze. It wasn't a civilian. It wasn't a local cop. The lobby flooded. It was a tide. A tide of black tactical vests, FBI emblazoned in bright, aggressive, federal yellow. 10 agents. Not loud. Not chaotic. They were silent, military, and moved with a precision that was utterly terrifying. They didn't run. They advanced. They fanned out in a perfect, practiced formation, securing the lobby. The 3 local cops who had been milling about froze. One, with his hand on his holstered weapon, was met by the cold, dead stare of an FBI agent, and his hand slowly, very slowly, dropped back to his side. This was not a negotiation. This was a hostile takeover. In the break room, Hayes and Miller heard the commotion. "What the hell is all that?" Hayes grunted, annoyed. He stood up, wiping donut crumbs from his vest. "Probably that protester bitch from the mall." He and Miller walked out of the break room, their mugs in hand, their faces set in a mask of casual annoyance. They walked into the lobby. And they stopped. Dead. They saw the vests. They saw the FBI. They saw the cold, hard-bitten faces of 10 federal agents who were not their friends. Officer Hayes's face, a moment ago so smug, went white. The blood drained from it. The coffee mug in Miller's hand was visibly shaking. The phalanx of agents parted. And their leader walked through. He was not in a tactical vest. He was in an impeccably tailored, dark gray suit. He was a tall, powerful black man, and he moved with the unshakable, terrifying calm of an avalanche. This was Director Marcus Thompson. He didn't look at Hayes. He didn't look at Miller. He strode, with a purpose that seemed to suck all the air out of the room, directly to the front desk. The desk sergeant, Carol, was trembling. Can I help you, sir? Marcus Thompson did not look at her. His eyes, the eyes of a hunter, were scanning the room, hunting for his target. Where is she? He asked. His voice was not a yell. It was a low, cold command. Sir. She who? Hayes, his voice a pathetic, high-pitched squeak, tried to take control. Sir. Officer Hayes, Brookside PD. Is there a federal matter? We weren't informed. Marcus Thompson turned his head. Slowly. He looked at Officer Hayes. He looked at Officer Miller. He looked at their faces, still greasy with break-room coffee, and he saw everything. He saw the smugness, the racism, the casual cruelty. His eyes, cold and piercing, held Hayes in a vice. His voice was pure ice. Quiet. But it filled every corner of that lobby. My daughter. The word dropped like a 1,000-pound weight. Hayes's mouth opened, but no sound came out. Marcus continued, his voice as sharp as a scalpel. Nia Thompson. The 16-year-old valedictorian. The Stanford scholarship recipient, whose letter your officer crumpled in his fist. The girl, your officers just assaulted for buying a prom dress. He took one step closer. Hayes flinched. Marcus held up his credentials. The gold FBI shield glinted under the fluorescent lights. I am Regional Director Marcus Thompson. This is my office. This is my city. He paused, letting the full crushing weight of what was about to happen land on them. And you just arrested the daughter of the FBI Regional Director. The lobby of the Brookside precinct was a frozen tableau of shattered power. Officer Hayes and Officer Miller stood in the center of the room, their faces pale, their smirks long since evaporated, replaced by the slack-jawed, twitching mask of pure, unadulterated fear. The desk sergeant, Carol, was perfectly still, her hands flat on her desk, as if she were a hostage. Director Marcus Thompson let his words hang in the air for 10 agonizing seconds. You just arrested the daughter of the FBI Regional Director. Hayes, in a desperate, pathetic attempt to find his footing, stammered, Director, we were following protocol. We had a description. Protocol. Marcus Thompson's voice was not a yell. It was a scalpel. Cold, sharp, and surgical. He took a single slow step toward Hayes. Let's talk about your protocol, Officer Hayes. You mean the protocol where you tackle a 16-year-old girl, face first onto asphalt, before identifying yourself. He pulled out his phone. He didn't need to check it. He had already memorized every second. Because you see, I've already seen your body cam footage. The footage you conveniently activated after you had my daughter on the ground. But here's the problem. The crowd, was filming before you were. I have 20 different civilian videos, already uploaded to my desk, showing the entire assault, from 30 different angles. I have the audio of you calling my child a liar and a thief while she was offering you her receipt. He took another step. Miller, the silent partner, visibly flinched. And then, Marcus continued, his voice dropping to a low, dangerous growl, there's the store's high-definition security footage. The footage you never bothered to ask for. The footage my agents acquired 30 minutes ago. It clearly shows the real suspect, a 20-year-old white female in a red hoodie, robbing the electronics store at 1:48 p.m., while my daughter Nia was in a different store, 200 yards away at the register, paying for her prom dress. He looked at Hayes. You didn't just make a mistake, officer. You saw a 16-year-old black girl in a hoodie, and you decided with no evidence that she was a criminal. You ignored a receipt. You ignored the store clerk who ran out to vouch for her. You ignored her Stanford acceptance letter. And you put your knee on her back while she was already subdued. You terrorized a child. He turned to the two stone-faced FBI agents beside him. Special agents, he commanded. Arrest Officer Hayes and Officer Miller. Not for a local matter. 4 federal civil rights violations, under 18 U.S. Code Section 242. And kidnapping, under color of law. Kidnapping. Miller shrieked, his voice cracking. That's insane. We're cops. You arrested a 16-year-old minor, Marcus said, his voice cutting through Miller's panic. Against all available exculpatory evidence. You transported her, against her will, to this station. And you denied her her right to a phone call. That's kidnapping. You just did it with a badge. Put them in cuffs. The two agents moved instantly. Hayes and Miller, who 10 minutes ago held all the power, were shoved against the wall, their own hands cuffed behind their backs. The metallic click-click-click of the ratchet was the loudest sound in the room. You can't do this. Hayes screamed, finally breaking. This is a local matter. Our chief. Your chief, Marcus said, is on his way here right now. To explain to me, and to the Department of Justice, why his officer's body cam was malfunctioning during the first 30 seconds of an assault. And why his department has 14 other unresolved racial bias complaints, all filed in the last 6 months. He wasn't done. He looked at the desk sergeant. Get mall security on the phone. I want the guard who made the initial call, Henderson, here. Now. The rest was an execution. The mall security guard, Henderson, was arrested by FBI agents at the mall, in front of his colleagues, for filing a false race-based report that led to a federal civil rights violation. The local police chief arrived, blustering, his face beet red, and was promptly served with a federal warrant by Director Thompson, informing him that the FBI was seizing all of his precinct's case files, servers, and internal affairs records. And then, Marcus Thompson did what he did best. He stepped outside, where his own team had already summoned the local news. He held an emergency press conference, right there on the steps of the police station. This officer, Marcus said, his voice booming for the cameras, did not act alone. He acted with the confidence of a man who knows his department, his partners, and his superiors will protect him. He was right. The flashbulbs were a supernova. Effective immediately, Thompson announced, the U.S. Department of Justice, in partnership with my office, is launching a full pattern or practice investigation into the entire Brookside Police Department. We will be auditing every arrest, every complaint, and every officer for the last 5 years. This precinct's protocol ends today. It was a federal takeover. Finally, his agents brought Nia out of the holding cell. Her face was tear-stained, her cheeks scraped, but her eyes were on fire. She saw her dad, standing on the steps, a legion of FBI agents behind him. The director mask vanished. He was just Dad. He ran to her, pulling her into a hug, burying his face in her hair. I've got you, baby. You're safe. It's over. Nia held on to him, the first moment of safety she'd felt in hours. Dad, they wouldn't. Sure, he said. I know everything. They'll never hurt you again. He held her for a long moment, then turned, his arm still protectively around his daughter's shoulders. He faced the cameras. This, he said, his voice thick with an emotion he no longer tried to hide, is my daughter Nia. She's 16. She's a valedictorian. She's going to Stanford. And today, your system failed her. So we are going to build a new one. He announced, right there, the creation of a new federal local task force on police accountability. A task force that he would personally oversee. A task force that would ensure every officer in that department, from that day forward, would have their body cam footage audited by his office. The story ended with him leading Nia, cleared and safe, past the stunned, defeated faces of the local cops. He walked her through the same doors she had been dragged through in cuffs, and took her home. Share this story if you believe that justice shouldn't depend on who your father is. Hit that like button if you're tired of seeing the system fail. And subscribe to Black Lives Story, because accountability is the only antidote.